with us that and give you our gut reactions on all things pop culture, film, TV and theatre. We talk to legends in the creative industry and those on the rise. We game old school. We do all of this, and a whole lot more. Like, subscribe, and get involved. Join Lance Dean, Anthony Nielsen, and the Outcast Creative.
Hello. Oh, I don't think I'm going to have my camera on. Let's turn that off. So, this is my new book project. In fact, I'm writing two, and they're both quite similar. My Life Through 100 Films. There we go. And I've been trying to get a new novel finished by the end of this year. This is the Vellum novel writing software, which is great on a Mac, and I bought the Mac especially for writing novels, and great they are for it as well. So this book is quite specific. It's quite different for me, and I'll explain what I mean by that. Sorry, I'm just I prefer not or that works for me. That's fine with me. So what I'm doing is, the reason I'm streaming this is because I'm quite a proactive grafter, hard worker, you might say. But recently my creativity has taken something of a dip. That's not to say that I haven't been working hard. I have, but working on novels and books and so forth, of which is one of my main things. So this is the introduction I've just written today. I'll come on to that in a second. I don't know why I've got two title pages. I'm not sure why we've got two of these. I'll get rid of one of these. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so still got the title page. Right. So the idea behind this book is to examine 100 movies that I've seen, some of which I will have purchased, some of which I won't, that have had a lasting impact or immediate emotional impact on me for a variety of reasons. So this is not going to be a list of my 100 favorite films of all time. It's going to be a list of the 100 films that have meant the most to me at different times. So so it's really about the other thing I want to articulate in the book is the difference that the cinema going experience was, both back in the late 1970s and the 1980s, and also the coming of video, how obviously that opened up the library for people like me who wanted to digest every film they could get their hands on. So I've written an introduction here, which I'll read out, which will give you guys an idea of what this film is about. What this book is about. So watching a film for the first time is a truly unique and personal experience, just as the film's impact and meaning will be unique to each individual who watches it. The film's longer impact, that's double use of the word impact, I'll have to change that, I think. Yeah, I've used it there, The film's longer, what's another word for impact? Let me change that to how the film resonates. How a film resonates. This is good. You can see me at work, how I work my writing, how a film resonates in a more meaningful way. Will often relate to many things, including where and who you saw it with. Actually, let's put where, when, and who you saw it with. Where, when, and who you saw it with, and how it might have. Oh, no, I've already put how it might have resonated with you. And what it meant to you at that time. So from a very early age, my life has been to some extent shaped by my passion for watching films. I do often wonder what percentage of all the hours that I've been awake, I think I should put the word "for" in there, all the hours I've been awake for on this earth, has been taken up by going to the cinema, renting a movie, or streaming a film. It must be a considerable amount of time, but it is a commitment which I freely gave, I still continue to give with few regrets. In brackets, apart from watching Ghostbusters 2016. This book is not going to be a deep intellectual analysis of the classic works of cinema, but a more straightforward and personal reflection on 100 films that have in one way or another had a personal impact on me. These films were important to me because they form part of the emotional tissue of my life's journey. This is not a list of my favourite films of all time, but several of those mentioned here would absolutely make that cut. So I just want to be clear about that. So this book it's not even going to be like 100 film reviews. I mean, I am going to talk about the films and what they're about and that kind of thing. But it's not going to be a list of 100 film reviews. It's going to be much more than that. I'm going to talk about where and when I saw the movie, what the cinema was like, what the audience was like, if indeed I can remember all that shit. I do have most of my cinema tickets when they were still doing physical tickets. So I think I will be able to recollect a fair bit of this information. So let's read on so you get the idea of the content of the book. The unique experience of watching a film and being drawn into its story at the hands of its guiding creator, the director, is certainly the primary factor that influenced my career decision to try and become a filmmaker. I use the word try because to date I've made only 3 feature films of my own, and only one of those, The Journey, is still available. And it is a film with many flaws. I digress. My filmmaker's journey is another matter entirely, and not one I shall delve into in any detail here. So yeah, I don't want to be regurgitating stories of my filmmaking career. That's definitely a topic for a different book. I grew up in an era of media which few people under the age of 30 would be able to fully grasp nor appreciate today. The simple virtue of when, where, and how we could access movies provided for a completely different experience to that which the younger generations are presented with today. The 1970s wasn't just the pre-digital era, it was the video rental era. Films were not readily available nor accessible. The only people who owned films at that time, were those who were lucky enough to be connected to the industry, had a screening room and could run a print from their projector at home. Yes, people actually did this, mostly the Hollywood set filmmakers and producers. Most of us mere mortals would have to wait a bit longer. My journey into films began in the latter half of the 1970s, and for a child, trips to the cinema were a much cherished, rare treat. So I'm talking here about the first occasions I went to the cinema. I saw maybe a dozen films on the silver screen before the end of that decade. Thus, I am a child of the generation that looked in complete awe at the opening of Star Wars, 1977. My cinema outings were organised by my parents. Others would always be for a friend from school who was having a birthday trip to see a movie. A birthday outing normally came in conjunction with a number of wary parents attached to steward, a dozen or so boisterous children attending. I think I can delete to the cinema there. It's already given that information in the previous sentence. Any parent that freely volunteered to assist at such outings was immediately suspected of having an affair with another parent. So it proved to be on at least one occasion. Yeah. Don't know why I remembered that, but I did. At the cinema, birthday outings or otherwise, we were never allowed to have popcorn, the parents being most wise in this regard, depriving the children of a bucket of potential ammunition to chuck at one another. They learned quickly to enforce this rule, knowing all too well breaking it would be asking for trouble. And in the 1970s, streaming services were still 4 decades away. And while the video boom was only just around the corner, let's put just around the corner, it would be a while before households would actually own physical media in the form of VHS. Tapes. This meant seeing a new film was a cherished and unique experience. Watching a film for the first time felt very special rather than the transient experience it can be today. You couldn't just pause and browse to find something else. You were committing to watching the film from beginning to end. You weren't just invested in the film itself. You were invested in the viewing experience. This is something I'm going to talk about in the book at some considerable length. Not just the content of the movies that I saw, but the viewing experience I had in seeing those movies. I'll give you an example of that now. So for the benefit of the 3 people listening, when I saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I saw them at the opening night at the Odeon Leicester Square, the premium cinema in London. For every film, I was there on the opening night, and I was there with 1,500 other people. Every seat was sold. I booked my tickets way in advance, and the atmosphere was incredible. You know, as soon as the New Line logo came out, it was just like a massive roar. Massive applaud at the title, you know, huge applause at the end. Everybody's so invested in that experience. I will talk about that. I'm going to talk about the Lord of the Rings trilogy in this book. So this meant seeing a new film was a cherished and unique experience. I kind of already said that, didn't I? Let me go back a bit. Okay, maybe I didn't. Maybe that was the first time I said that. This meant seeing a new film was a cherished and unique experience. Watching a film for the first time felt, oh, do you know, I'd already said that. Yeah. Oh, I think I Oh no, yeah, sorry. got there already, didn't I? Just double checking I haven't duplicated something here. No, okay. Right. Yeah, seeing a new film was a cherished and unique experience. Watching a film for the first time felt very special rather than the transient experience it can be today. You couldn't just pause and browse to find something else. You were committing to watching it from beginning to end. You weren't just invested in the film itself, you were invested in the viewing experience. You had no idea when or if you were going to get to see it again, the film again. I'll put the film, I think, the movie again. The movie. I'll say this here, remember, you can only see a film for the first time once. I'm going to add a line in here. This is a really important thing to remember. This is really important. That'll do. Outside of these all too rare cinema outings, it was part of my daily routine that once the morning paper was delivered, my parents would often find the television schedule page was missing because I was already reading it in my bedroom. I would search all 3 channels, because that's all we had back then, 3 channels, for any new movies, and I would begin a pleading campaign to my parents to be allowed to stay up to watch those which were scheduled when I should be asleep. In brackets, note, very few of these attempts conducted on a school night were successful. In fact, I can't recall one where I succeeded, unless it was the weekend when my parents were more willing to relent. Fortunately, the television broadcasters understood that screening films on the weekend would always result in higher ratings, so for the most part my viewing choices went ahead unhindered by the bedtime rules. Note, there were exceptions to this. See the section on the wild geese. Scheduling of a new film, or indeed an older popular film, on one of the 3 television channels then available in the UK was always a big event. Most of the more commercial big budget films would be snapped up by ITV, a channel primarily funded by advertising revenue, which gave them substantially more buying capital than its only rival, the government-owned BBC, who had 2 channels. And I spelled that wrong. What's happened there? Don't know. Must be typing like a blind man. Where new movies awaiting their television debut were concerned, with new movies, I think. We're purchasing the new movies that were awaiting their television debut. And then I think I'm going to get rid of were concerned. Lance spelling bee in action. We're purchasing new movies that were awaiting their television debut. When? It has long been rumoured that on the golf courses populated by the television executives of both channels, an unwritten deal was struck. The BBC would focus on buying the less mainstream but more highbrow films, while ITV would get the lion's share of the Hollywood-produced movies. So I might add the words with a broader audience appeal. The BBC thus tended to purchase the less commercial but no less worthy films, often the types of dramas that were Oscar or BAFTA nominated. The BBC were also producing a small number of tightly budgeted in-house feature film dramas. These often explored some social or political narratives, and until the 1980s would normally be screened way past my bedtime. Might go until the mid-1980s. I would later discover most of these productions in my 20s, which is just as well as my younger self would not have appreciated them. When BBC Two launched in 1964, it was very different from the channel it is today. Ironically, its first official programme was the children's entertainment show Play School, which later would be presented by my birth father, Lionel Morton. While the channel was mainly used to launch flagship shows like the Forsyte Saga, its film offerings were mostly older films from the 1950s and 60s. This was fine with me, as I would discover many a favourite film on a BBC Two film season during a BBC. There's a reason I'm streaming this, by the way, which I'll come on to in a bit if you're still here. Right. As a child, I was always looking for adventure stories packed with explosions. Let me put this where films were concerned. As a child, I was always looking for adventure stories packed with explosions, gunfights, spaceships, cowboys, Indians, and dinosaurs, and ITV would often get its hands on the films I wanted to see. However, the BBC also owned a number of older classics, which often got screened on a Sunday afternoon. So while ITV would get its hands on popular films like the all-star action movie The Wild Geese, worthy movies like Mysterious Island would often turn up on some random Sunday slot on BBC Two. If a bank holiday was coming up, you knew ITV was almost certainly going to schedule the TV premiere of a new James Bond movie. My parents, who'd read all of the Ian Fleming novels, were avid fans of the British secret agent action adventure franchise. Their enthusiasm for these engaging spy stories were quickly passed down to me. Now, I need to add something more about the Bond films here. While having when I was a child, the Bond series was already well underway. So when I started watching them, there would have been Dr. No, 1, From Russia with Love, 2, Goldfinger, 3, You Only Live Twice, 4, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, 5, Diamonds Are Forever, 6, Live and Let Die, 7, The Man with the Golden Gun, 8. With 8 films already out, 6 of which would get their premiere. I forget Thunderball. Thank you. Do you know, I think Thunderball was the first one I saw. I'm definitely going to be including, I think, 2 Bond movies, maybe a third one. And the 2 that I'm probably going to include, one of them will definitely be The Spy Who Loved Me, and the other one's either going to be Thunderball or You Only Live Twice. So there were 9, with 9 films already out. With 9 films already out, 6 of which would get their TV premiere during my childhood. I'd not been alive when they had their cinema release. So each of them was new to me. Each felt bigger and better than the last. Okay, the Christmas television schedule was another eagerly awaited annual experience. ITV and BBC appeared determined to go head-to-head by packing in as many films as possible between December 18th and January 3rd. January 2nd, not 19th, January 2nd. That was fine by me, but hard choices would have to be made. Do I watch The Towering Inferno on one side or Where Eagles Dare on the other? Until we owned a video recorder, I would have to reconcile choosing one film over another, For my childhood self, this was an agonizing experience. When I was around 10, early 1980s, I recall using my pocket money to purchase my own copy of the Christmas TV guide, marking up everything I wanted to watch over the festive season. I always prayed one of my, let's put film choices here. Film choices would not be going up against the Morecambe and Wise Christmas special, a British comedy entertainment duo whose talent was unrivaled at the time. Under such circumstances, no amount of begging or scheming, I'll put to my parents would secure the use of the lounge colour television. Fortunately, it was extremely rare that anyone scheduled a film that I wanted to see against these television legends. Several weeks prior to the airing date, ITV would advertise their next big film purchase to the hilt. Short TV trailer spots for their latest lineup would always drop just before or after their most popular shows. You knew the film was coming, you knew when. There was a sense of anticipation of seeing something new and exciting. When I verbalized my enthusiasm for the latest television offerings, I think. If my parents were less keen on watching something, thank you, a series of complex negotiations would ensue. This was primarily to make sure I would get to see the movie on the colour TV and not the black and white set upstairs. I'm certain my mother feigned interest more than once in order to get me to commit to numerous shifts of doing the washing up after dinner, which would guarantee my use of the colour TV. I'll just put colour television, so just to change the wording a bit so I'm not repeating myself. If the film in question had a dashing male lead in it, I would have an immediate comeback. But Mum, you know you're a big David Niven fan. Thus, there was no washing up penalties for watching Paper Tiger. If there was a Bond film on that bank holiday weekend, it would be a certainty that our family would be found sitting on the sofa with my father in the armchair, all glued to our new colour television set. Back then, ITV and BBC would often schedule their lineups in direct competition with each other, forcing you to choose between one film or another. On the rare occasion when viewing choices clashed, I was allowed to view the other channel on our old black and white television that ultimately came to live on the large windowsill in my tiny upstairs bedroom in our 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Berrylands, Surbiton. The first time I saw a number of the films that made this list was on that crude yet much treasured television set. One such film was Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma, which was still just as terrifying in the black and white format as it was in colour. Note, having this old black and white set in my room was to have considerable advantages, as you will read later. Its arrival was, however, met with some extreme displeasure by our family dog, Ben. He had assumed my bedroom windowsill as his regular perch, where he would wait and watch for my return from school. I think I want to add something to that. The presence of the boxy blackhand white TV was most unwelcome, and he did his best to try and tip it over without success. Yeah, boy, he really did try, man. That TV nearly went flying a couple of times. In fact, I caught it on one occasion. As we went into the next decade, one day towards the end of my tenure at primary school, I think this was probably around, I want to say 1981, maybe. Don't know if it's relevant to put that in. As we went into the next decade, one day towards the end of my tenure at my primary school, there was a story floating around the classroom about a difficult dilemma that I need to rewrite this. It doesn't make sense. Difficult dilemma that a number of children had faced that previous weekend. There was a birthday party at some kid's house, not someone I was friends with, hence no invite. And there was a debate. I'll put debate over which film to watch for his birthday. The choices being The Dirty Dozen, You Only Live Twice, or The Pink Panther. Eavesdropping in on this conversation, I was certain this debate was nonsense. I had watched that past weekend's film choices, and none of the aforementioned offerings were available. I asked how they were faced with such a decision when these films were not on television on Saturday. Did they go to the cinema? Oh, Matthew's dad brought over a video recorder. He had those films with him. With him on tape. Oh, you must have watched You Only Live Twice, came my immediate response, feeling confident that volcano bases and ninjas were the obvious winning choice. No, we saw The Dirty Dozen, came another boy's reply. At the time, I'd never heard of this film. In fact, I'd never heard of a video recorder, a device that allowed you to play films that you could keep and watch again and again. What mystical sorcery was this? I immediately had a version of my own boy/man cave, a room filled from floor to ceiling with film upon film. Could it be true that such a device existed that would let me watch You Only Live Twice to my heart's content? That needs to be in italics, because all the films are always going to be in italics. Not only could I watch that epic volcano ninja attack again and again, but I could have it running in the background while I reenacted the battle with my Lego constructed volcano base and airfix soldiers. This new play space, which my parents' house did not allow room for. Yeah. Was already taking on epic proportions. The age of home video was about to arrive. Soon thereafter, I would be old enough to go to the cinema with friends, giving me the freedom to choose what films to see and where I would see them. By 1985, I'd saved up enough money to buy my own VCR, a front-loading VHS machine from Panasonic. That same year, I went up to the cinema in central London, which offered a completely... Why is that in blue? What's up with this? No, that's not right. Which would offer, which would offer a completely different viewing experience altogether. Until then, I'd mainly seen films at the local cinema in Kingston upon Thames, where I would later work. later work as an usher in my teens, and then, rather than later again, and then as a floor manager. That was head usher, I think, was actually what it was called. But anyway, whatever. Leicester Square in central London had a massive cinema. With an equally, hang on. This sentence needs to be rewritten. Was home to 4 massive cinemas, each with an impressively sized screen. In 1985, there was the Odeon West End, a single-screen auditorium that held 900 seats in the stalls and 407 in the balcony. It had a state-of-the-art sound system and would often show films in 70mm. The screen felt so big, if you sat in the right seat, you had to turn your head to take it all in. I saw my first ever film in the West End here, and you'll read all about that later. So I need an and in there. Its larger sister cinema, the Odeon Leicester Square, sat just a stone's throw away with an equally large screen. It could hold 2,116 people. Now that is, by the way, that's where I saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Seeing a film here with a packed out audience, with every one of those seats filled, with every one of those seats filled, not filmed. See, it's good proofreading, isn't it? Doing it online and reading it out loud is, you're committing. I feel this is good for me. Was an experience that few young children would get to experience today. Right, double use of the word experience. Got to change that. Was an experience that few young children will get to relive. Relive today. I would be fortunate enough to experience that many times over. Across from this cinema, was the Warner Brothers West End. It had already been the first to go multi-screen by the time I started watching films in central London. It had already been converted. To a 5-screen multi-screen complex by the time I started watching films in central London. But it was the first cinema in the UK, actually. In the UK. Yeah, I remember that. In the UK, to have a THX sound system installed in its main screen. I was there for that experience. I went on the first week. On the north side of the square was my favourite cinema of them all, the Empire Leicester Square. Its main auditorium, known as Empire One, could seat 1,333 people. It had a state-of-the-art sound system, reclining luxury leather seating. Yeah, red leather seating. Yeah, I remember those. Red leather seating. With ample legroom. And in the side walls were banks of concealed colour, changing cold cathode lighting. You'll find my first experience of visiting this incredible cinema in the pages of this book. And I'll tell you now, the film I saw there was Top Gun. In more recent years, the experience of seeing a film for the first time has become less impactful. We're normally bombarded with over-informative and spoiler-crammed overly informative and spoiler-crammed trailers via every means of social media possible before the film's release. The chances of the movie experience offering you something that takes you completely by surprise is extremely rare, while the overall quality of cinemas Seating, sound and projection has increased. Attendance is down substantially, as more and more people just choose to watch films at home. Social trends have changed. There was a time when big groups of friends would all go to the, I don't know why, that's italics, to the cinema together en masse. Now such social events are rare, partly due to the demands on one's time, allowing less room in the calendar, and partly due to the increase in cost of living. Mobile phones have played a huge role in diminishing audiences too. I've lost count of the number of times someone has actually answered a phone call during the middle of a film. Let's change that too. Has anyone else experienced that? Don't you hate it when that happens during the middle of a film? Even when people just check their texts or messages, it can be really distracting. It takes you completely out of the movie and diminishes the overall impact of the overall experience. The impact of the okay. Yet films continue to play huge roles in people's lives. They are a central part of our ongoing entertainment. In fact, I would argue films are the core soul of, let's put, the creative arts. Plural. It's hard to put into words what films have meant to me over all these years. I'll try and do that in the pages of this book. I've had some of the best times of my life sitting in a packed out cinema, sharing that first time movie experience with close friends, surrounded by an audience that is totally invested in the story. Let's change that too. Hi, Darth. In the story as I am. In contrast, I've experienced some of my most lonely moments sitting in a cinema alone, finding myself connecting to a sad moment in the story. Somehow a character or plot point is underscoring an emotional need that is sorely lacking from that particular time in my life. I've taken special people to see a film that I've loved so I can share the joyful experience of seeing that film again. Along with them. I've seen that same film again years later when they're no longer around, and it reminds me how much I miss them. Such is the legacy a film can have in one's life. However they made me feel, I actually want to say something else here. Many films are connected to special moments in one's life. And that connection, that memory, whatever it may be, stays with you forever. However a film made me feel, that they made me feel something at all, that is of itself an achievement. While many films I've seen have only left fleeting memories which are soon forgotten, others have had a more lasting impact. Some have been responsible for me embarking on a particular hobby or taking an interest in a chapter in history. Others convinced me to try all kinds of soppy romantic schemes, most of which would end in embarrassing failure. Some showed me how to be a good friend, others showed me the meaning of loyalty. Some reminded me when to be compassionate, while others warned me never to lose my humanity. Films have played a very important role in my life, and this book will tell you which of them played their part. feels like that sentence is incomplete. Films have played a very important role in my life. This book will tell you which of them played their part, when they did so, and what they still mean to me today. All right, so that's the essence of what this book is about. Now I've got to choose the films. Oh, excuse my hay fever, it's bad today. Just going to dash real quick for a wee, and then I'm going to come back and carry this on. Okay, I'm back. Oh, look, and all three of you stayed with me. That's very kind. So, yeah, Darth Plato's already hit the nail on the head with one of my choices. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start to create a list. I'm not going to write the text today, but this is like the first films I remember, right? So not all of these are going to stay in the list, but right. So the first film I ever remember being taken to see at the cinema was either, let's just do these in block capitals, Oliver Twist, the musical. That was at a cinema in Surbiton, which went soon after, where I think there's a Sainsbury's there now a supermarket. The next one, now I'm not sure of which way. So Oliver Twist, this was on re-release. Wasn't when it came out. I wasn't alive when it came out. The next one was Bambi. Definitely remember that. Disney. Granada. Yeah, that was I know that was at the Granada Cinema in Kingston. That was where I would later work. In Kingston with my sister. Yeah, she won't be getting many mentions in this book for anyone who knows that story. Okay, now, did either of these films have a lasting impact or connect to any emotional sort of tissue in my life elsewhere? There's definitely some stories about Oliver Twist there. Bambi was the first Disney film I ever saw, so that's significant in that context. But beyond that, I don't think so. Okay, so well, let's just continue with this list. Then I remember that we went to see Candle Shoe, also a Disney film, I think. Oh, fuck off, man. Piss me about. That was also at the Granada. Again, I'm guessing, but pretty sure once that other cinema had closed. That was predominantly where we went. So that was with Jodie Foster and David Niven. Okay, so the other films of this kind of early cinema going era, there was Jaws, but I think I saw that on re-release, not in 75. And that was in Isha, wasn't it? That was someone's birthday. I think Elliot Florio's birthday, maybe. I'll have to check with him. He's on Facebook. Florio's birthday. That was at the Isha Odeon, or what, ABC. It was on ABC, wasn't it, back then? Thanks for hanging out with me, guys, by the way. It gets lonely in here when there's no one watching. So your presence is appreciated. Okay, so let's just go through the others of this time. There was also, what I'll do actually is we'll do two little categories here. We'll do cinema. And then we'll do a TV section, which I'll do in a minute. Other films I saw in the cinema at this time were, well, the big one. Kingston Granada. Then literally at about 3 other cinemas, plus everywhere else. Okay. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I remember my mum dropping me and Martin up at the cinema to see that. God, and we were so young, so I don't know that. I don't remember that film being a U certificate. It was an A, wasn't it? It was a certificate A. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That was also at Kingston. Just trying to think of what other films I might have seen at the cinema in this era. The Seawolves, that was later. That was the last film I would see with my grandmother. In fact, so while I remember these, I'm gonna just put some of these while I remember. Cinema. The Sea Wolves with more. Mormon. Don't spell predict me, you idiot. Alien. I'm going to come back to that. Alien. I was too young to see. It was with Mormon. That was also Kingston. Funny enough, Flash Gordon was one for my birthday. Now, I'll tell you another one I've just remembered from the 70s. Star Trek, the motion picture. The car broke down in the most dangerous place that you can imagine on the way to this movie, on this roundabout in the middle of this really, really busy place, we did make it, and then the film was so boring because we were kids that were expecting a Star Wars movie, and what we got was like very slow and ponderous. I like that film now. I did not like it back then. That was at Isha, so I don't think that's going to make the cut. But I'm just listing them so I know what my options are. Now I don't on the television. Oh God, yes, of course, The Spy Who Loved Me. How could I forget? That came around the same time as that might have been slightly before Star Wars. Actually, do you know? I'll have to check. Spy Who Loved Me. That was the first movie I went to see that I really, really loved. Kingston with parents. I used to cover my eyes when James Bond kissed people. Yeah, I don't think I saw. My sister went to see Airplane at the cinema. I did not. I wasn't old enough. Yeah, too young for Alien. I'm trying to remember where I first saw the Muppet movie. I'm not sure what the answer to that question is. But thank you for reminding me. Superman. Superman the movie was another one. That was at Studio 7, Kingston, also known as the Flea Pit. Okay, so TV. Right, let's do that. Television. Films. Seen on TV. Shall we just put seen on TV? Seen on TV. Okay, so it was Thunderbolt. You Only Live Twice. I also saw From Russia with Love, Dr. No, Goldfinger, but the three that really had big impact was Goldfinger, Thunderball, Only Live Twice. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was another one. Also made by the Broccoli Company, by the way. Also written by Ian Fleming. Now there was a number of other. So Spartacus, Ben-Hur, I'm trying to think of the John Wayne. First John Wayne. The Alamo was another one. Battle of the Bulge. Bridge Too Far was not screened on the television until I think it was about 1981. So we just go here. Bit of a glitch there. Fuck off. Seen on TV. Bridge Too Far. A Bridge Too Far is definitely making the cut. I can tell you that now, because the amount of time that's influenced my life would be vast. Yeah, I did see. I also saw Octopussy. I'm going to put Empire Strikes Back. It's not going to make the cut, though, by the way. Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi will make the cut, but Empire Strikes Back is not going to make the cut. People are going to be enraged at that. Funnily enough, I'm seeing Octopussy on Friday. Going to see it this Friday. Go back. Willy Wonka. Oh, it might be Charlie. I think it's Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Is it called Charlie in the Chocolate Factory? Yeah. The Gene Wilder one I'm talking about. When did The Silver Streak come out? That's a film that I have very, very fond memories of that film. '76. Yeah, I have a feeling it probably wasn't screened on British TV. Well, it might have been probably around 79, I want to say. Might have been 79. Just remembered another one. Warlords of Atlantis. Double bill with Gumball Rally. Studio 7. Yeah, I liked that film. I think The Wild Geese was in this. I think The Wild Geese was probably around 1980, but it might have been earlier. Wild Geese, ? Need to check. Dates. Wild Geese is definitely going in. So I think Silver Streak. I think I saw Silver Streak on TV here. Yeah, I remember staying up to watch that. Really loved it. Right, I don't know when it was first screened on British TV, but Carrie is another one, and I think I was probably. I'm trying to think of my age when I saw it. I think that would have been around this time. I think 1980. That was the premiere as well. I think that was 1980. Fuck's sake. Keys. This was 1981. And it was ITV. I remember that. I think this was BBC. This was because there were no advert breaks in that. It was BBC. I think this might have been BBC as well. I don't know though. Was there advert breaks? No, that was ITV. There was advert breaks. Yeah, I think it was ITV. For checking these and trying to find out which screened on what channel might prove problematical. Yeah, I can add in the cinema Raiders of the Lost Ark. Right, now I've got to add a separate section here. I've got to do video rentals down here. / pirates. Okay, so under that rather dubious heading, I can confirm that I saw E.T., The Thing, Alien, Karate Kid. Right, another Ark is with a K, isn't it? Krull. Right, now this one's definitely going in. The Sword and the Sorcerer. Is that not on there? That's right, isn't it? Conan. First Conan film. Let's not even mention the second one. Hey, Daryl, how's it going? This is my new book. It's about 100 movies I have watched. Actually, you can read in the blurb. You can see what it's about. Yeah, Time Bandits was another one that I didn't see at the cinema. That was a video rental. Time Bandits. I never liked Alice in Wonderland, you know. As a kid, I found it freaked me out. I also saw The Black Hole. I just remembered another one. Escape from Witch Mountain. Grenada Kingston. Silverado. Odeon West End. The third film I saw in the West End. The first film I saw in the West End was Legend. Odeon West End. The second film I saw in the central London was Rocky 4. Is it 1V? Yeah, like that. That was also Odeon West End. I saw Labyrinth. That was Odeon Leicester Square, and I think that was the first film I saw at the Odeon Leicester Square. I think. Not sure about that. Top Gun. Empire Leicester Square. First film I saw there for sure. And then I also saw E.T. on re-release as well as on video. Re-release. Also at the Empire Leicester Square. It's amazing how this is all coming back to me, but then I do also have cinema tickets that I've referred to recently. I did not see Wrath of Khan at the cinema on its original release. I saw it on video. Wrath of Khan. I also saw these are the Robocop is 87, so that's later. I also saw American Werewolf in London. Thank you for reminding me. Don't know if I've spelled that. That's not right, is it? R-E. There we go. Escape from New York was another one. And that turned me on to John Carpenter. And then as a result of that, I also saw The Fog. The Fog was on TV, actually. The Fog was on TV. Fog. I saw Halloween on TV. I saw... there was another Carpenter one I saw around this time. Of course, The Thing. Yeah, got that. I saw Robocop in the cinema for my birthday. You can read about that in 1988. It's in the book because it was released in the UK in January of 88. I didn't see Heavy Metal. I did rent Das Boot. Thank you for reminding me. Das Boot. That's good. I think can't remember when I saw The Dirty Dozen, but it's probably not going to feature in the book because it's not. Can you see how many choices I've got to make? Because I'm trying to make this 100 films, but it might be 200. No, I think I have to keep it at 100. No, TV. I'm going to do a separate book for television, so it's only feature films. So another one here is Lady Hawk, and also fuck off, Hawk, War Games. Both of those were at Kingston. I think also there was A View to a Kill. Yeah, that was a terrible film. I didn't like that at all. Actually, do you know what? If I know I'm definitely not going to include something, but I might just list other films that I saw around that time. I might just do like some sort of mini list. So maybe I should just write down as many as I can remember. I saw Blade Runner on video. I thought it was boring. Sacrilege to say that, isn't it? Sacrilege to say that. Oh God, thank you. That was at Kingston. You just reminded me, June. That was Odeon Richmond. That's when I saw the weird cut of it that I've never seen since. The Terminator. Fuck off. The Terminator. Dominator. Kingston. Aliens. That was 86. Highlander. Saw it the same day. Aliens will definitely be a pick. That was at the Odeon Marble Arch. That was the first public screening. Yeah, on video I saw, thank you for reminding me, Mad Max 2. Best Little I really like that film, Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. I don't know if you know, but most of the male cast of that film all died of HIV in the 80s. Most of them were like among the first to go. It was really sad. It like killed almost the entire dance company. Yeah, Jason and the Argonauts was one I would have seen on television. Oh, but I saw I went to the cinema to see that. That's right, it was a double bill with The Humanoid. Oh my God, yeah. And that would have been in the 80s. That's early, so it was that's gonna have to get a mention. The Humanoid. Jason and the Argonauts. Yeah, that would definitely be a pick. Double bill. Down, 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 down. Who's seen The Humanoid here? Ice Pirates. That's another good one. Again, but a lot of these will probably just not get mentioned because I don't have. I'll have to have a story to go with them. 48 hours. This will definitely be one. 48 Hours and Under Fire. That was a double bill with my dad. in Denmark. We will definitely be including that one. Any excuse to talk about my awesome father. Empire Strikes Back. You saw it 25 times. 25 times. Damn, man. Yeah, that's actually another rental. First Blood. First Blood was another rental. Fuck off. Sorry, not you. Not you, chat. First. Oh my God, what's wrong with my caps lock? Thank you. First Blood. Trading Places was another rental. Poltergeist was... Did I see that in the cinema? I feel like maybe I did. Yeah, I think no, I saw that at the cinema, didn't I? Yeah, Poltergeist. That was a good film, man. Still is. I have never watched Annie all the way through, and have no intention of doing so. Airplane 2 was definitely a rental. Kentucky Fried Movie. Definitely a rental. I've seen a stage production of Annie. That was enough. Besides Darth, you look weirdly like Daddy Warbucks, which is just like very disturbing. Tron, that was another one. Thank you. Oh my God, I've just remembered another one that absolutely has to get a mention. The Last Starfighter. Greetings, Starfighter. Yeah, I'm going to start asterixing the things that are going to get mentioned. That's definite. Yeah, Dune, because there's a story to go with that. Definitely Top Gun. First time at Empire Leicester Square. Definitely Silverado. First time on a date with two girls. Seawolves. Last film I saw with my grandmother. When was Pete's Dragon released? That I also saw with my grandmother. Pete's Dragon. 77. So that would go in here. Pete's Dragon. Yeah, I beg to be taken to see that film. Saw with More. Oh, my grandmother was such a lovely woman, you know. Kingston, Granada. So weird seeing trailers with Heath Ledger knowing he's no longer with us. The Warriors. Thank you. That's another one. Warriors come out to play. Oh, I just remembered another one. Streets of Fire. And that will be definitely making the cut. So that's another asterisk. Oh, God, yeah. Thank you. I just remembered. Right. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That was on television. So was Kramer versus Kramer, which I think actually was the first serious drama that I watched that I actually understood and enjoyed. You know what my favorite scene is in that movie? I really love the scene where Dustin Hoffman is up for a new job, and he has to be working. He's been let go from his advertising firm. He has to be working. There's a position available, and they don't want to fill that position until the new year, but he demands to be seen early, and he goes into the Christmas party, takes the boss out of the Christmas party, and sort of like insists on having an interview there and then, and they're like, we don't want to make a decision now. And he says, well, gentlemen, look, this is a one-time offer only. You can see I can do the work. I didn't see the Goonies at the cinema. I didn't rent the Goonies out because I thought it looked boring, and I've seen it since, and I think it's massively overrated. Sorry if that offends people. Scarface is definitely another good one. Outland, that was a video rental. Don't think I saw that at the cinema. Yeah, no, I wasn't old enough because it was a 15. I need to do a section on Italian Warriors of the Wasteland film. Arthur, and on that note, Author. Yeah, Arthur I rented on video. Just remembered another one I saw in the TV with Chevy Chase and Goldie Hawn, which was really, really good, where he's like, Goldie Hawn's being like hunted by an assassin. Yeah, that's another good one. Planet of the Apes. Another good choice. It's annoying. I can't remember. So, off this first page, Spy Love Me, got to get a mention. Star Wars has to get a mention. Close Encounters has to get a mention. This double bill has to get a mention. From the TV selection, I think Thunderball, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Wild Geese, which I would later see at the cinema because I would hire. I saw Death Trap on the telly, but it's all right. Nothing special. Ooh. What time is it? 2 o'clock. Nancy tired. I have to be heading off to bed soon. So to explain again, this is not a review book. This is not a. So, for example, if I talk about Pete's Dragon, which I may do, I'll talk about the experience of going to see that with my grandmother for the first time. Now, thank you for adding those. Romancing the Stone. Saw that. Ghostbusters was with Dad. Kingston. Definitely going to include that. Oh my God, Beverly Hills Cop. Good dad. Kingston. Fuck, man. This makes me really miss my father. Red Dawn. With Martin. Kingston. Who Dares Wins. With Martin. Kingston. Oh yeah, Revenge of the Nerds. This is the first time I went to see an 18 certificate movie. Revenge of the Nerds / Bachelor Party. Bachelor Party. Double bill. This has got to go in. Double bill. Fuck. Bachelor Party. Sorry. I'm tired now, aren't I? Martin with Kingston. Yeah, me and Martin went to see. We went to see quite a few like 18 certificate movies. Hang on. Don't list any films that come after 86. And Planes, Trains and Automobiles was definitely 1987. Yeah. Ferris Bueller. That was at the Plaza Cinema. Piccadilly. That was with Anna, my first girlfriend, I think. Nice to see you mention these films. Who Dares Wins I watched on video. Hide it because my dad and I were fans of Lewis Collins, The Professionals. Did someone mention Who Dares Wins? I could quite easily just leave that on. Let's you've no soul, man. You hated Ferris Bueller, you've no soul. People danced in the cinema when I saw that film. That's why I'm going to mention it. So let's see what else. Oh yes, Cocoon with my dad. Thank you for reminding me. That was another one. Good night, Keith. Thank you very much. These films are not all going in the list. I'm just doing a list, which I'm then going to pick and choose the best ones from. Yeah, Temple of Doom. I didn't like the Temple of Doom. It's all right. It's not great. I think it's the weakest of the three indie films, and there's only three. There's only three indie films. Remember that. I'm just checking the list here. Yeah, Buckaroo Banzai. I mean, I'm just writing down an insane number of films here. But what I might do is a little section that says, I'm told I also watched these, but I can't remember. Something like that. Back to the Future was a cinema contender. Back to the Future. Yeah, that's a film I've got some sort of little emotional stories about, so that could be a good choice. Pretty in Pink, that was on when I was working at the cinema. Yeah. I let Anna got to come in and see it for free because I was working there, and then I went and sat in with her to watch like the rest of the movie. Oh, can't not mention any Chuck Norris films. That's true. Thank you. You just reminded me of two. I definitely need to Invasion USA. Yeah, I've got some funny stories about that. To do with all the times I recreated the battles with Lego and shit. That's quite fun. And I have a second Norris. I saw Delta Force with Anna. I was in Kingston. God, it's amazing what I'm remembering now, because normally I can't remember much about this time in my life. Remembering talking about it maybe is opening little doors, I don't know. Mind you, there's no guarantee that any of this information is factually accurate. Yeah, Back to the Future was 85, that's right. So this is let's Electric Dreams. Excellent song, terrible film. R.I.P. Lenny Dolan, who was in that movie. So Silverado I've already got. Fletcher I've already got. Spies Like Us I should mention, because that was on my very first date. Spies Like Us. Yeah. That has to get mentioned, I think. First date movie, I think. Have a vague recollection of that. Better Off Dead. Yeah, there's a good chance actually that's going to get picked. My Science Project, which I always thought was way better than Weird Science. I saw Weird Science at the cinema. I remember saying really loudly in the cinema, why have those two guys got tea cozies on their heads? I didn't realise that they were bras. Oh dear. Yeah, Mad Max 3 I saw. Massive disappointment. I mean, it's a good film, but it's just not a good Mad Max film. I did also see Fright Night. I also saw Invaders from Mars. I also saw what's that film with Sean Connery where he's the monk investigating a murder in a monastery? Really good movie. Got a young Christian Slater in it. Oh God, what's it called? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Name of the Rose, thank you. That was it. I remember that Golden Child. I remember that with Anna. That was at what's the name of the road? Haymarket. Screen 1. Karate Kid 2. Haymarket. screen one. Thank you, Enemy Mine. Now that was the first film. Prince Charles Cinema, Leicester Square, with Anna. Pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure the following week we saw Iron Eagle, Never Say Die. Iron Eagle. Leicester Square. Anna. Yeah, Matthew Broderick was in Lady Hawk. That's right. That was Weird Science was with Martin. Kingston. Now, was it still a Granada then? Kingston Granada, I suppose it was. Mad Max 3. That was also with Martin. Same place. I also saw Vamp with Anna. Can't remember which cinema. It was Central London though. And Invaders from Mars. I remember that. Screen 5, tiny cinema, like 22 seats. Oh no! That wasn't. No. We saw that. That was in a decent screen. With Anna, Cannon Oxford Street. That was in a decent screen there. They had about 7 screens or something. But I'll tell you what movie I did see in the tiny one, because I remember we went in and it was like, what the fuck's this? The Explorers, Joe Dante's movie. That was the one. The super tiny cinema. And actually, I do want to talk about that because that's the first film with Amanda Peterson. And I want to talk about her. I want to talk about what happened to her in this book. And I want to talk about how awful that was. Big Trouble in Little China. Was that 86 or was that 87? It might have been 86. You might be right. That was my birthday movie. Yeah, I went to East College in 86. That's right. Big Trouble. Birthday movie. Let me check the release date of that. When was Big Trouble? It was released in the States in the summer of 86. I think we got it in the winter. Don't forget, we got the films anywhere from. Oh no, okay, it was a summer. Oh yeah, of course, because I was celebrating my birthday in the summer by then, wasn't I? That makes sense. Okay, yeah. So that was Odeon West End with a gang. Can't remember who went apart from I think Anna was there. I can't remember anyone else that went to that trip. Oh, I watched that on the old. I watched that on the old black and white. Yeah, Crocodile Dundee. Crocodile Dundee. That was Odeon West End, I think, with Anna. Pretty sure. Salem's Lot was a TV miniseries, so that doesn't count. It only became a movie later when they recut it for VHS. The gods must be crazy. Yeah. I'm not going to be putting that on, and I never watched it until way later. Right. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I hope this is piquing your interest in this book. So at the minute, I'm listing the titles that I saw, and then from this, I've got to pick out the ones that have got a story to go with them. Yeah, Can't Buy Me Love, I think, was 87, and I will be listing that. I was really shocked when I found out what happened to her, and she was raped as well by a producer in Hollywood. She never said who it was, but it was one of the producers on Can't Buy Me Love. So if you... Field of Dreams was after 86. So if you look up the list of producers, you can guess. Oh yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. That was one of the first 18s I went to see, again with Martin. Thank you for reminding me. That was the first truly... Martin was worried we were going to get chucked out because I kept going, oh my god, in the cinema. I remember that now. It's coming back to me with Martin. That was at Kingston, Granada. I have not lost you when I excluded Goonies. There's plenty of better films in here than the Goonies. Field of Dreams did not get released in the UK until I was single, so it would have been after 87. Field of Dreams was released in the UK on the 24th of November 1989, Darth. So, yeah. Right, okay. Going to wrap it up there, guys. But I hope this is piquing your interest in this book, because I really want to try and make this book a success and have lots of people read it. Yeah, Scanners. I saw Scanners. I did see Scanners. I saw Scanners was a double bill with Extro. Extro, double bill. That was with Martin again. Kingston, Granada. Yeah. So we're not doing this is just 1980 to 86. Okay. So I'm not doing 89 yet. So I'm looking at having anywhere between 5 and 10 films in each section of this book. So I've got a long way to go yet. Long way to go. You're going to read a bootleg? You fucker. You should be supporting my creative endeavors and writing reviews on Amazon. I know you're only teasing me. Right. Okay. That's it. The title of the book is My Life Through 100 Films. So if you go back and watch the beginning of this stream, I actually read out the foreword, which explains the kind of the thought process behind the book. I'm afraid it's a bit long-winded. Oh, sorry, I'm still live, aren't I? Right. Oh, guys, yeah. So Gail Ann Hurd is going to be on the channel. Producer Gail Ann Hurd is coming on. And she's coming on in September. I thought I was going to get her in August, but she's coming on in September. So we just locked down the date today. I can't wait. It's a long time away yet, but it's going to be fantastic. So yeah, I'll speak to you guys soon. All right. Don't forget Spartacus stream Sunday.